Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited Group.
Station is a sentence, but it's to protect the people around you from possibly getting sick. Continue to comfortably buy your groceries and whatever you need, even when in quarantine. Use Coop Bank e-banking to transfer funds to a close friend or family member's account. Get them to do your shopping for you. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Coop Bank's e-banking.
I want to bet for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Coop Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, a swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we get. It's so glad to see. Peace of mind that's unservice and see. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
FTU underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence, Spice Island Beach Resort.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. Wonderful, wonderful. Of course, you know, when I was putting on this beautiful shirt here this evening, I thought somebody, before you all get fresh with me and ask me if I'm going to referee, I thought I would say so first. Yes, I'm refereeing tonight. So I have on my referee uniform. Be that as it may, folks, we are in for quite a treat this evening. And I just want to say to you, welcome to my 92nd independent live session and my 38th for 2022. We are living in times where, although good things are happening, they are overshadowed by our focus on sad and unpleasant developments, both locally and internationally. Every news medium today focuses more on the things that help create more stress on the human life and the human psyche, than contribute to the joy and peace we were meant to live and exist for. And this is precisely why I filter a lot of outside activities and restrict my goings out and the general socialization I once enjoyed, whittling it down to a mere trickle. I have found the following to be so true, especially when one dwells in a state of higher consciousness. Once you've matured, you will realize that silence is more important than proving a point. The kinds of conversations many seem to want to engage in are mostly relegated to the mundane and fraught with small talk about petty politics, other people's personal business, and generally trite and puerile subject matters that usually add nothing to the personal development index. Anybody who knows me well, and well enough that is, and even those by mere observation based on my consistency over the years, will tell you that I'm always busybodied, pelting from place to place once I'm outside of my home on any mission. What does that mean? I really have no time for rubbish. So our topic today, greed exposes one to becoming a pedestrian spectacle of shame. You want to hear that again? Greed exposes one to becoming a pedestrian spectacle of shame. And God knows how often we have been seeing this in our local landscape. Oh Lord, we know what Voltaire said. There is none so blind as he who would not see. Since the political tables have turned in Grenada, we are seeing greed manifesting itself through faith. We're hearing about all sorts of hanky-panky and questions arising about the National Lotteries Authority, NLA. The number of ghosts who are reputed as having received seed money. A billboard that was exorbitantly priced for one of the sister isles. Irregularities here, there, and almost every goddamn where. To what extent do we really stem the tide? And when you think of all this greed, you have no choice but to ask, to what end? But when one does not have a concept of honesty and integrity, but just a professional con, accumulating material possessions become a priority to such elements, such goons. Greed fuels such people's actions on a daily basis. They would turn going to church into a deal. Fuss, they're greedy. Again, if we were to pay close attention to things around us, the penny would drop several times and cause us to sober up ourselves indeed. Now, while looking at the final rites performed on Queen Elizabeth II, I could not help but notice something very profound. I made a mental note, and lo and behold, while scrolling through some reels, I was able to pick up in and between a posting by someone which brought my observation into sharp focus. Well, you pay attention, you must pay attention, and these things come up, you see them. I must let you know, because of my era, I was enthralled by all the simmy-dimmy associated with the burial of Queen Elizabeth II. I always try to make time for pomp and pageantry. I love it. I love looking at military parades from all over, be it Russia, North and South Korea, the People's Republic of China, Taiwan, the changing of the guards at Buckingham Palace, not to mention within the region, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, and to a lesser extent, ours locally. In fact, from the time the announcement was made that the Queen died, I was following as many of the coverages as possible. I have learned quite a bit about her personally, and of course her reign. However, the point that really caught me was the final words of the religious celebrant of the final service and committal at Windsor. According to this Archbishop, who represented the context. You know, it was so profound. But this particular post, I will quote now, quote, "At the funeral service of the late Queen Elizabeth, towards the end of the service, I was touched by the Archbishop's last words before the body was taken to the grave for burial. Wow. He said, quote, now let us remove all symbols of power from the coffin so that our sister Elizabeth can be committed to the grave as a simple Christian. Immediately, the staff of office was removed. Then the scepter. The crown followed, and all valuables were removed. The Queen was buried with nothing. Notice that the Archbishop did not include Queen in her name at this point too. Life is indeed vanity. It is transient, and that teaches us humility. Humility in power, humility in relating with others, humility in our acquisition of wealth, and humility in all our endeavors, because in the end, we will all go back from whence we came with nothing. Let that sink in. At this point, we managed to get to know her real name, Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor, before marrying Philip Mountbatten of Greek and Danish heritage. Yet for all, we have so many people who may never have been introduced to humility, who seem not to understand and appreciate that all the fuss they make to accumulate earthly treasures through greed, they never are buried with them. In the meantime, their method of acquisition involves selling their very souls, and in the end, losing their good name. Now, if at all they ever had one, that is. Hence our topic today, greed exposes one to becoming a pedestrian spectacle of shame. Let's take a little break here, folks.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development, training school, Frederick, powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
Living with the pandemic hasn't been easy, but that does not mean that life has to fall apart. Work, play, and take care of your finances from home. Connect with friends on social media. Host Zoom meetings with colleagues and use Co-op Bank's e-banking to pay your bills and manage your funds. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Co-op Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables, 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, a swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we get. It's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence, Spice Island Beach Resort.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome back, folks. Of course, you know, at this point in time, it's important for me to pay homage to all the lovely people who are on both platforms. We're talking about Facebook, both my private personal page and my public page, and of course, YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But on this platform here, my personal private page, Maria, welcome, my dear, welcome. Pauline, Samantha, and yes, Samantha, who else? Jillian. Lydia, my dear, welcome. This is the second or third week consistently I've seen you, and I'm glad about that. Welcome back. Good. Welcome back. It's lovely to have you. Cherylan, who else? Allison, Diane or Diane, Dominic, Alistair, Lindana. Come on, folks, share the live and let's get some more people on that particular platform. And this other one here, which is my main platform, the public one. Let's see. We have Carrie Ann, we have Jennifer. Oh, who else? We have quite a few here, actually. Silvani, Donna, Jackie, Sonia, Anne-Marie, Sawandi. Blessings to you, my friend. You know, we have Anne, we have Tamika, we have Shirley Ann, Nicole Brendely, Kisha, we have Margaret, Marcelia, Kim K, welcome, my dear. We have, I don't know if I said this before, but I'll say it for fear that I would not have, and I don't want to mix that up. Maria, Charmaine, we have Sarah, Erlyn, Yvette, Cuthbert, Jimmy, Joan, Monica, Tubbs, Cheryl, Anne and Thomas, Mary. We have a Monica, Irva. Hey, my dear friend, Alvis. Wonderful, wonderful to see you. I'm glad you're not asleep because I know you work very hard and you do very difficult hours, and you probably would have been up since the wee hours this morning, but it's good to have you. I promise you some fire and brimstone this evening, so enough to keep you awake, and then you can fall asleep after. Elisa, we have Sweetie, another Patricia. Yay! Auntie Pat, welcome, my dear. Kathleen, Karima, wow, good to see you there. We have a Toby, Sibylla, DD, KD, Shirley Ann. Who else? Wow, we have quite a few people here. Aldith, very interesting name there. Marcel, it's always a pleasure to have you, my dear. We go back a long, long way. You have been just a stalwart in your own right, my dear. We have a Val, we have a Ricky, we have a, who else? Judy, darling, it's good to have you. Peter, my karaoke friend, bless your heart. We have Dred, we have another Anne, Glenn, Roderick, Jean, Akiran. Welcome. Let's have some fun tonight, folks. Of course, we will, of course, have to cope with some angry faces coming up here because, you know, We have some people who just have to indicate who they are and what phenotype they are. So they have to express themselves, but it's a democracy. And people have a right to even make a fool of themselves. We have a free platform, don't we? And I always tell people, you know, the people that I have no interest in, I do not listen to them. I do not watch them. I don't even know that they exist. So you guess what? They cannot upset me. Isn't that interesting? Welcome back, folks. So people who do not have a larger vision of themselves are most times seekers of status in order to feel a sense of importance. Such people seek high office, if even they may not be qualified to so deserve, and in the process, level the said office down to their personal low-life standards. We have had stories of certain ministers of the Eric Gary cabinet having to attend a series of dinner, lunch, and breakfast sessions presided over by Sir Eric himself before he could gain the confidence to allow them to represent the nation overseas. Isn't that interesting? He wanted to make darn sure they were friendly with knife and fork before he can confidently let them loose on the world to represent and thus give a good impression of the people they lead. That was not to be subsequently, as one of the aftermath of the crash of the revolution, the one-time popular revolution that toppled the same Sir Eric, who subsequently groped the corridors of power in a post-revolutionary context. That man is recorded as having said, and let me tell you something, I hear this with my own ears. We should eat how we could eat. We are Grenadians. And if we grow up eating without utensils, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are. You should proceed to eat how you could eat. And that man was a minister of government, yes? That is when I realized that we are in plenty trouble. And that was in the 90s going into the 2000s. You see how long we're in trouble, folks? These are the same people who are more focused on accumulating wealth on the backs of the poor and vulnerable, whom they say they love, while they reflect these same poor and advantaged people as depraved and decrepit when they had the occasion to represent their interest abroad. When you think of some of the people who were put to preside over the Ministry of Education within the period 1995 to 23rd June 2022, it became blatantly clear that the vagabond-like individual who occupied the office of Prime Minister on account of the habitual bad-mindedness of the majority of you electors, time and time again, had absolutely no interest in education. In fact, Dr. John Henry Clark is so correct when he said, quote, "Powerful people cannot afford to educate the people they oppress. For once you are truly educated, you will not ask for power, you will take it." Unquote. The one-time minister under this miscreant lot of the past attended an education ministers' meeting somewhere in South America and spent very little time at the meeting, which was way above that individual's level, and instead used most of the time away to sightsee and shop. The report was that on the last day of the conference, that hoochie scoochie, you know that you're all old enough to remember that saying? And that's the only how you could describe that kind of element, that low life. That low life reached in time for the closing ceremony, and soon after went around to each table, emptying the candy bowls while saying, all you listen to this carefully, theatrics start, "I must take back something for my children in the constituency so they can't say I forget them." This same minister once went to neighboring Trinidad and Tobago to another session. And when an operative of the foreign ministry there went to escort that individual to the airport on the way back to Grenada, noticed her with a Guyanese suitcase Well, you know what a Guyanese suitcase is? Right. Which was certified to be overweight. The question was asked by the Trinidad Foreign Affairs operative to a Grenadian friend. Where all you find this woman to represent you all at this high level? That same individual attended a dinner at a certain resort on this island and was placed to sit near Sir Paul Scoon, God rest his soul, who was at the time retired but holding down a key post and did not know which role was his and which role was hers. Sir Paul, in guarding his role jealously, was heard to be telling the individual, "That one is yours," in quite an irritated manner. All of this to say, when we adhere to popularity alone, we end up with disreputable, green, and clearly unsuitable creatures as elected representatives. This practice has got to stop. And with speed. The time for us to change course and start to repair our local, regional, and international image is here and now. We cannot afford to return to the dark days where elected officials presiding over any ministry are given full charge over even administrative matters, while using specially elected gophers, or selected rather, gophers, as permanent secretaries who are prepared to do their bidding, just that they are maintained in the position that they are clearly not fit to hold. Interestingly, the likelihood of signatures on documents never contain the said ministers, but that of the permanent secretary for the action to be official. I remember during the Worrell inquiry back in the late 90s to early 2000s, seeing a certain PS sobbing on the witness stand with snot coming down the nose because of the fear of being in trouble for that same reason. You would have thought the rest to follow would have learned, but that was not to be, because greed took over and the position became more important than the honesty of the individual to say, no, I'm not quite ready for that position. But when greed is the priority, even those who know they are not qualified for a particular position take the said position for the money and the clout, and never for the responsibility that goes with the office. Many of our people offering themselves for leadership positions seem to focus more on the add-ons that their influence can attract to them personally by facilitating favors for pay. This tends to happen when we elect and select people who lack basic integrity, and when they start to show their authenticity, it is always the wrong attributes, which are most times steeped in greed, that surface. The several rumors and innuendos relating to the wanton bubble that went on over the period 1995 to June 23rd, 2022 are just too many for comfort. If only we would ensure that the following three attributes are present in our leaders in all spheres of life, secular as well as religious, we will obliterate lots of issues that are coming to the surface. Here, the first one, character. You must have character. You must not be a character. This is about who you are and not to be mixed up with reputation, which is primarily what people think of you. So through consistency, when you take care of your character, your reputation must take care of itself. The next one is attitude. This is simply your state of mind as you approach a person or a situation. Attitudes are formed by our upbringing, and therefore the source is our home. So when we display undesirable attitudes outside of the home, we are speaking volumes about our background, our breeding, and our poor socialization. The third one is respect. This is one of the few things that we give away that comes right back to us. This shows us up as having regard for boundaries, personal space, territorial rights within the floor space of where we operate, and generally not doing unto anyone what we would not wish done to us. But you see, folks, when you take pride in who you are as a person, and you make efforts to improve yourself and develop into a whole, properly rounded human being, tempered by humility, your attitude, character, and level of self-respect can never present you as a person easily moved by greed and allow it to expose you to becoming a pedestrian spectacle of shame. Isn't it very instructive this evening, folks? But we have a set of jagabat and goons and vagabonds and jungals all over the place. You know, I'm on radio now. I'm on doing these kind of programs 37 years. This is my 37th year, folks. And what am I trying to tell you here? You know how long I have been pointing out these things, but among you were not paying attention, and it was a lot better back then. And I was seeing the potential of it reaching where it is today in the Ladi drain. What do he always know. And some of those same people come in and say, it's amazing. You must have been a soothsayer back then. But you see, a lot of people were paying attention to what they were getting. And they have nothing else to get now. Thing done. Thing done. The well dry up. So they're coming now to see and to corroborate what I've been saying all the time. But on a more pleasant note, folks, you see, somebody, sorry for me, they're tired, see me grapping, as we not grabbing, as we say in our own lingo, the poly bottle to drink. So they set me up. Hello? Right. Somebody admires. Huh? Positive vibes from New York, yes? Sent by special emissary. I am so happy. So happy. I'm showing my appreciation, folks. And you know what is interesting here? Very coincidental. Two Debbies. Two Debbies. A Debbie here and a Debbie there. Isn't that something? Wonderful. Let me take a sip on that. Beautiful. So, folks, when we come back, we have some more turkeys to fry. You realize? Getting hotter and hotter. We have some goodies coming up. So stay tuned. Continue to share the live. Continue to share the live. I have to have a private chat with Sawandi when I'm finished with this program too, because there's something I have to discuss with this young man. This young man is bright for days. I admire him. He's consistent. He keeps a standard. I really admire this young man. Anyhow, let's take a little break and we come right back.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of edification. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence. Spice Island Beach Resort.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful. Well, you know, I went to my favorite place to socialize where there's just no infraction of service. You're made to feel special. And you know that place is Spice Island Beach Resort. There's no doubt about that. I went there today just to say hello to a dear friend. And I met another dear friend. And Lord have mercy, that was such a lovely little social. Woo! It reminded me of the good old days of socialization. Because I have not socialized in so long. I've kind of lost the interest, the everything, because you're socializing these days. I don't know when I'm dead, and I don't want to dead with a lot of oil. You get the message, folks? I don't want to dead with a lot of oil. I don't want oil to be the last place I've been and I was with this one and then I dead. No, I want to dead with a smile on my face. I want to be happy. I'm done. You understand? I don't know. So my thing is, if I'm going to leave my house to go anywhere, it must be a place that I don't mind dying. I don't mind dying home, so I stay home. That's the constant. So folks, I know some of you saying a long time you're in here, Jungle and Wabin and Jagabat and them kind of word. But no, Grenada has been reduced to a Jagabat place, a Wabin place, a Lali drain. And it's so sad. But we have been rescued recently because a lot of conscious people woke up to the realization that we can't continue along these lines. And we have a chance to reverse it. We have a chance to stop thieving and thinking it is a good thing. This is probably the first time a successful Grenadian putting a career, a successful career has gone into politics. And I'm talking about a successful career of commerce because the legal profession is of commerce. There's money to be had there. Left that to pivot into politics. People may say, what are you talking about? Other people were successful. We're not talking about successful in thieving. We're talking about successful in a proper profession. Thieving is not a profession. Hello? You know, I know some of you cringe every time you hear me speak because you are so programmed to be hypocritical that you can't get, oh, what's wrong with him? Why he has to behave so? He not behaving. That's who he is. Authenticity on steroids. That's what you're seeing. Not hypocrisy on steroids. When I match with somebody as brave and vulgarly frank as I am known to be, they tend to do what? Mudsling. But what are they doing? Showing you their level. Showing you their level. It's sad, you know, folks. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. You know, you go out and all you can be fed is a diet of small talk. What is happening? The schools are nurseries. People are learning nothing in school. When they're looking at their smartphone and what are they looking at? That they can learn something so that they can take the civilization up. Folks, we're in a bad way. Everything is about people's personal business and what they don't know, they're making up. Thing has got to be a disease and a virus, and a terrible virus at that, because it has spread throughout the population. It's sad. Well, let me tell you, welcome back. And welcome to those who are just joining. Remember, we're going up tonight. We're going up. This is the third segment, and we still have a fourth. So when one is elected to high office, one must surrender himself or herself to the merits of a higher behavior, representative of the state, and desist from dwelling stubbornly in the myopic sphere. Maybe not reading invitations thoroughly and ensuring that they show up on time and are dressed appropriately for the occasion. We are seeing too many faux pas from elected officials. A few of this current administration too, which are just downright unacceptable. I have sent a few messages, and I'm giving some time for the people that the messages went to digest the concerns raised, considering that quite a few of them, listen to this carefully, folks, and this is why when people mix up my name and saying they're here getting work and they're here getting an appointment, folks, I'm a free agent, because when I had to talk, I had to talk, and I don't want nobody to keep me back from talking. You get the message, folks? I don't want nothing to keep me back and hush my mouth. So listen to this. Considering that quite a few of them are reported to no longer take calls and no longer respond to texts of people that they were in touch with to get to their promised land of being elected and in government today, because they are where they aimed to be, and to hell with who helped them. I await their action on the messages sent regarding some of their personal shortcomings. As long as I have seen absolutely no improvement through any disregard, folks, I promise you, listen to me carefully, read my lips if you can't hear, I shall be calling them out publicly with a view to naming and shaming them. Who vex, listen to me carefully here now, because it's vexing. Who vex? That is their blasted business. Because this kind of drain thing have to stop. Humility, 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 folks. That's the only thing that can connect you and keep you winning. Humility. You ain't reached nowhere yet. We get away from that on the 23rd of June, and we're not going back. It's a vexing thing. It is contemptuous almost that you try to reach people. Oh man, the reports are too damn many. There's one in particular, oh man, not returning calls, not answering phone, not acknowledging text, because that one reach where they're going. Well, let me tell you something. I intend to call your name and shame you publicly, because you are in public office and you have to stop this falseness. You chose to be in public office. Hello? You chose to be in public office. And that is part of the responsibility, to keep in touch and stop all this damn nonsense. It is too vexing. Too vexing. I am just too fed up of this drain culture of mediocrity that has been bedeviling us for all of our almost 50 years of independence. A word to the wise is enough. You cannot say you were not warned. And you see the thing about dressing and all this kind of old stupidness. You dress anyhow, and this thing is just disgusting. Totally disgusting. I see somebody, a picture sent out all over the place. You want to know if this person going to Juve? And I hear it was a formal event this person was supposed to be going to. This damn stupidness must stop. Otherwise, resign and go in the bush. Resign and go in the bush. We tired with that. Tired with that. And remember, you all are in authority. What you should do, decide on a proper formal for us. Outside hot, like if you're inside an oven these days and people telling you to dress formal to come to thing, to go away. Where you going? You're going to get stroke? We need to develop our own formal to suit our temperature. This slave dressed like master have to stop. We are not in England. We are not in Europe. We are not in America where they have seasons. The only season we have here is heat. And we have to dress to suit the heat. Back to the subject at hand today. I'll stop vex now. Greed exposes one to becoming a pedestrian spectacle of shame. We are hearing genuine clamors, folks, for people to unite so that we all can break the cycle of political tribalism, which took on new meaning since the hijack of NNP in 1989 from Herbert Blair's, and the commitment of the perpetual leader to never suffer the thrashing of the 1990 election ever again. And now for a little history lesson here. Truth be told, back then, Grenadians seem to have been more principled. And in keeping with their dissatisfaction with how Blaise was treated, they voted in a nationalistic way by giving the NDC under Nicholas Brathwaite 7 seats, the TNP under Ben Jones 2 seats, the NNP under the now old Mitchell 2 seats, and the GULP under Sir Eric Gairy, God rest his soul, 4 seats. Fast forward through to 1995 elections, when the old Mitchell's NNP was able to clinch the election, winning 8 seats of the remaining 7 seats, well, you know, apportioned in a kind of way like 5 to NDC of George Brizan and 2 to the GULP of Sir Eric Gairy. Interestingly, those 2 GULP successful candidates joined in accommodation with the NNP to solidify their majority to 10 seats, an accommodation that did not last very long at all. This was the commencement of the greedy season that we are reeling from all now, having only recently released ourselves from this negative stranglehold. Goodly folks, it was to hell in a handbasket our civilization started to march with very little resistance until decadence took the first place. Politics of exclusion, spite, and vindictiveness. Politics of victimization made its reappearance in a post-revolutionary context. Needless to say, the political polarization of the nation was in full effect. From the word go, it was glaring for all who had eyes to see that corruption was the priority item on the NNP leaders' agenda. Not that the nation was not warned by people like George Brizan, Francis Alexis, and Tillman Thomas and others. But many refused to see, and corruption, together with the bastardization of our constitutionally provided for institutions, was in full effect, leading us to the total disrespect that the majority of our nation has for authority today. All of this ably presided over by Old Mitchell, who developed his following in a cult style, dependent on the mess of pottage he doled out to the needy, while the greedy and vultures prospered bountifully without any apparent limit. Save and except for 1 or 2 voices in the wilderness, 1 or 2 written press entities, the local mainstream media donned their greedy hats and fell in line for what they could get until the majority of them became totally beholden, to the point where we can see them attempting to wake up today, attempting to abuse the freedom that June 23rd, 2022 restored to this nation, on account of the conscious young people who rose up to take their country back from the old Mitchell and place it in the hands of a younger and more promising Mitchell and his team. A breath of fresh air indeed. Oh God, the place feel light. The unity Grenada needs now is not in preparation for any referendum to change British monarch as our head of state. All of that is a set of rubbish. The unity we need is for our people to understand once again that Grenada belongs to all living and breathing citizens, and that the national pie must be shared for all. The only thing that can address this is genuine education of our people, getting them to think independently once again, so that they can rise to the occasion and become patriots to build Grenada. Not to build a cult on one hand, and on the other for others to try to break the stranglehold of the cult. That's too much work. The unity we need is for us to come together as a people, to understand and appreciate the need to support efforts to improve our healthcare services and facilities nationwide, for us to start feeding ourselves through the revival of our agriculture, to realize that there is merit in the restructuring of the Marketing and National Importing Board, the MNIB, to bring it back to its original purpose so that it functions successfully as it did during the revolution. When we are through with these basic bread and butter issues, we can look at constitution reform. All for now, we need to sanitize Grenada from the germs of the NNP, which removed our people from their value-centered moorings to a people that know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. All of that has to change in order for this nation to be able to entertain the thought of uniting to do anything that we all will collectively benefit from. When we are through with this, we would be able to entertain the thought of constitution reform to bring Grenada in step with our needs and simplify our governance structure. The issue of the tri-segmented population of needy, greedy, and vultures need to be vanquished. In other words, defeated, crushed, and conquered once and for all. The needy will always be with us. But it is up to each and every one of us who claim to be Christians to make every effort to help where and when we can, as often as we can, to be our brother's keeper. All sides of the political divide in any country would have needy people. This transformational agenda that the young and desirable Mitchell seeks to champion is about helping to give everyone a larger vision of themselves so we can reduce the numbers of needy among us. The greedy and vultures must not be tolerated one bit. Both sides have greedy, with one side having institutionalized it to the point where we are seeing it coming out in all sorts of unsavory, corrupt allegations today. We see to a limited extent the side that was in opposition having a few stragglers fencing around to replace the green-juiced, greedy mongrels that helped to suck this nation almost dry. They must be weeded out, exposed, and set to the wolves. And I am here to do just that. I am here to do just that. You see, folks, when you are an independent mind and you're strong-willed like I am, you expect people who like to cut corners, whether they're green or they're yellow, you expect them to like me? Hell no. And I don't care. Only one side is known to have vultures, sharks, predators, scavengers. The side that is in the corridors of the Hall of Shame and Scandal today. The head conman and his tribesmen and tribeswomen with all the creative shenanigans to trick the system to bleed it to death. These nastinesses must be made to pay for the deprivation and lack that they put the people of this country through over their extended tenure, thus breaching their trust altogether. You know, is this truly the way any of us should be recalling the experience of an administration led by a man who made history for being able to claim 3 whitewashes at the polls, with 2 being consecutively, and yet whose only claim to fame ends up being that of dividing the nation into needy, greedy, and vultures? Oh no, what an awful shame indeed. Such individuals should be brought to a public square and flogged regularly until the end of their natural life. Sad, really sad. And that is why I submit to you, and very boldly at that, greed exposes one to becoming a pedestrian spectacle of shame, and deservedly so. I need to take a little 5. Hot under the collar here.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for 2 at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence. Spice Island Beach Resort.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wunderbar. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. And for those of you just joining, I want to welcome you. And of course, let you know, well, of course, we're entering the home stretch now. And if you thought that last one was, so Andy, you say weak, you're weak yet. But I want to just tap back here a little bit. All offending, whether elected or selected members of this new administration who is guilty of ignoring people's calls and texts, you will be named and shamed. You know, people as advertise to make business. Well, I will help unadvertise each and every one of you. Yes, we know the government gave you a government telephone. You cannot be just one-dimensional. You have a personal telephone, and that's the number people got to help you get elected. That's the number people have been touching base with you on. Respond. Send them a this. Send them a that. Send them a this. But nothing? You're all too damn ungrateful. That's what it is. You're too mindless. And you need to stop it. You realize I'm getting very hot here. Close to calling names, you know. This kind of low-class ungratefulness must stop because people are feeling it. They're feeling your contempt. You're just not answering the phone. Yes, we understand you might be overwhelmed. Yes, you might be getting a lot of messages. But you put yourself in politics. You're supposed to expect that. That is part of the territory, folks. But to ignore people, how come you had time before? And you had time before to take the calls? That is unacceptable. It shows you all are never thought Negroes. That's what you are. And you need to stop it. And stop it now. Because people are getting upset. How you expect to win another term? Behave like that and you might get half term. Because this is vexing. I and all come in and haul you out and pelt you in the road. Because this is disgusting. You all need to cut it out. Answer people. And the leader must take note of that. And admonish them. Because you can't go nowhere with this kind of people again. You can't win nothing with them. And those of you who want to dress wishy-washy, take pain to alley with some cold drops of modesty or skipping spirits, lest through your wild behavior you be misconstrued in the place you go to and lose all hope. Because that is another disgusting thing. We have to come out from the drain. We voted for change, and transformation must start with everything. Even what we see with the eyes, it must change. This despicable behavior is just unacceptable. And those of you who know you're not guilty of that, do not be the first ones to respond to this. Because some of you stupid enough. Remember when I talked about board members and this, that, and the other, and they must get rid of them and get rid of chairman and send in your resignation? Imagine the ones that were guilty said nothing. The ones that were not guilty showed up the level that I never thought they were at. It's sad. For those of you in the government or around the precincts of the government and know you're not guilty of that, don't let me hear you saying anything. Because you'll be very stupid to say anything, because it's not all of you. It's a few of you who behaving in this never see, come see manner. And overwhelmed. And oh God, well, if I go to answer everybody, I won't do my work. If you go to answer everybody, you won't do your work. What is this? Is this difficult? The emoji is there. The emoji is there. Hello? So the person know, everybody know you're busy. But just nothing? That's totally unacceptable. It shows your level. And you need to lift your level. Lift your level. Manage your time properly. And lift your level. Hello? Vex, as I said earlier, is your blasted business. But it's about time we take things in hand here. It's just too much, man. This low bouncing, low bump from every year you catch the cancer, that 95 to 2002, 2022 spread in Grenada, you catch it too? Come on, man, cut that nonsense out. Welcome back, folks. This being my final segment, would lament further the reason why we should be careful not to show up ourselves as greedy for whatever reason. The story is told of this senior executive who had an incident-free tour of duty in her lofty private sector place of work. She served this institution for umpteen years. And when she reached the age of retirement, most people she worked along with were sorry to see her leave. She was helpful to both colleagues and customers. And even though she was very partisan in her politics, the only accusation her name was called about was that of facilitating people of similar political persuasion. Even me, in my own wisdom, could find no fault with that. After all, why not? The long years of service this professional woman gave to her place of work was unbroken and clean in all respects. But of her length of service, she was able to receive a wheelbarrow of parting funds, parting money. and other going away gifts, of course, in appreciation for her service. Now, based on her contributions to the National Insurance Scheme, the NIS, over the years, she qualified to receive close to $2,000 per month in pension benefits. Needless to say, this woman was not extravagantly glamorous and was not much of a party person either. Modesty, in the strictest sense of the word, could appropriately describe her. Conclusively, anyone looking on would agree that she was well off, even without taking into consideration that she married well. You know, this woman boasts of 3 beautiful children, each of whom reached adulthood, with 2 gainfully employed within the family business, having studied, of course, and the 3rd attending to unfinished studies abroad, the youngest one. What an almost perfect story. Unfortunately, although the family lives together for the most part, there is some fragmentation, as her husband is a drinker and a regular noider, while she is practicing and very devout a Christian. She's a practicing and very devout Christian. Things between them are just not good in that they tolerate each other now. Having retired with a proper golden handshake from her place of work because of her political leanings, she landed a position in an entity only a staunch supporter of the party in office could dream of landing. Mind you, this is a woman who's already well off, married well, has no mortgage, children all grown and on their way, receives a good pension from the NIS, and boasts of a hefty savings account. How would you feel if someone who already did their tour of duty and retired with glowing tributes, well-deserved accolades and financial rewards, ending up becoming actively employed at the highest level of a certain entity that only a trusted, staunch supporter of the government in power could land? How would you feel? There must be some ridicule you would feel towards someone like that, especially if they are a devout, practicing Christian. That can't be right. There must be some ridicule that you will feel towards somebody like that. Come on, let's face it. In a small community where jobs are already scarce, unqualified people are made to feel they are too qualified for certain positions on offer and therefore never get those said positions, end up feeling frustrated. And who can migrate? Migrate otherwise. Others remain here and vegetate. And someone who did the entire tour of duty lands such leading position, thus depriving a young person with a fresh perspective from such opportunity to deliver and to be gainfully employed. One must be tempted to interpret this as greed on her part. What else can it be seen as? But that story is all too familiar under the last administration and can fit a number of scenarios which became the norm under the last diabolical, nefarious, inferior entity that so many of you, with your carelessness, insisted on supporting time and time again, and who in the face of all this, still managed to attract close to 30,000 people to vote for them in our last election. All your bunks, all your head, or what? If you want to know who these people are, just listen to their response to this scenario that I just shared. Oh boy, they're coming for me tomorrow. Interestingly, when the new administration gives such greedy, uncaring elements their well-deserved summary marching orders, the green Kool-Aid infidels want to cry victimization. Hello? Could you imagine a thought to be a clean professional who completed their tour of duty in the private sector, leaving with no disrepute on a high from their last place of work, with reputation intact, and ending up in a disgraceful situation just because she has absolutely no concept of enough. When she left her previous position, no investigation was launched, but on account of her having had cause to be summarily dismissed on suspicion of using her position to help enrich others, have to be subjected to all sorts of inquiries today. If this is not greed, you tell me what is. No wonder pressure does bust pipe. And to think some of these same people are people many of us grew up with. And we know them to have been properly grounded and socialized well by their poor and working class parents. But they bung away to follow the money at all costs. These are the people who today know the price of everything, the value of nothing, but see them squeeze the Bible to death under their arm on a Sunday. They're going to church because they are religious Jesus industry people. These are the same people who lost their good name for their lust for material possessions and position in society. And that is precisely why I continue to sound the alarm of Sophocles, who said, I would rather fail with honor than succeed by fraud. Just before I take my departure here for today, I want to celebrate Bishop's College of Carriacou, which held a well-produced and professionally executed 46th graduation ceremony on Friday, 30th September at the Anglican Church in Hillsborough. The invitation from Miss Indra Scott, acting principal, for me to deliver the keynote address to the graduates turned graduates was readily accepted. I had a good feeling about this from start to finish. I flew to Carriacou with the new 19-seater propeller, aircraft, which took around 15 minutes from Point Sabine, from Maurice Bishop International. What an improvement on our previous experience. What a pity this is not daily as yet. I guess with more traffic, this will come. Miss Erlene Roach, who checked me in at the Maurice Bishop International Airport, was on top of her game, extremely professional. I would recommend her service all the time. On the other end, Miss Carmel Phillip was another professional whose attention to detail I thoroughly enjoyed. I find the price is also right for the return flight on this replacement airline, known as Grenadine Alliance. The only little setback was the heat, which I guess they have no control over. And besides, the trip is pretty short anyway. The singing in between the program of the graduation ceremonies was thoroughly enjoyable. So much so I had no choice but to do a little video and share on my Facebook pages. Hats off to the management board of Bishop's College. Hats off to the principal and her entire staff for all their arrangements and for taking care of the needs of the students of Bishop's College for their entire tenure there. On a general note, folks, I felt the love in Carriacou on Friday. The number of people who recognized me and had something kind to say to me about what they hear when they tune in to my live shows tells me a lot about the followership on the Sister Isle. I'm truly humbled. I could not agree with Carriacou Forward, who proffered on its Facebook page, Carriacou and Petit Martinique Carnival, Carriacou Parang. Wow, you all need to put a team together and go to Grenada, Vinci, and Union and mark it. Go underground and tell people to come to Carriacou and support. I agree totally. In fact, Carriacou has very good accommodation facilities. When I was up there, I really loved what I saw and felt, as toured by Miss Indra Scott, acting principal of Bishop's College. I was treated to lunch at Casada Bay and met a top barman from Grenada there. One thing I warn cats, fix and fix it fast. The political polarization, which is alien to your DNA. That was never part of your makeup, and it should be rejected so that you can return to the conservative, self-assured, unapologetic kayaks you used to be, minding your business and taking care of each other. Peace. Folks, I had a lot of fun tonight. I am in, I am out. Toodaloo, I'm gone. See you next week, God willing, for regular programming. Until then, I beg of you, stay safe, stay well, and remain lifted, please. Remain lifted.
And sign up for
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist EDDIE Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative, Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
Living with the pandemic hasn't been easy, but that does not mean that life has to fall apart. Work, play, and take care of your finances from home. Connect with friends on social media. Host Zoom meetings with colleagues and use Co-op Bank's e-banking to pay your bills and manage your funds. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Co-op Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store provides best of frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, a swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we get. It's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence, Spice Island Beach Resort.
EDDIE Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only EDDIE Frederick can deliver. EDDIE Frederick has got it all.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist EDDIE Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative, Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
Living with the pandemic hasn't been easy, but that does not mean that life has to fall apart. Work, play, and take care of your finances from home. Connect with friends on social media. Host Zoom meetings with colleagues and use Co-op Bank's e-banking to pay your bills and manage your funds. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Co-op Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be
perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, a swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give. It's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Pedestrian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of edification. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence, Spice Island Beach Resort.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative, Bank Limited, Antillian Group,